Arya was born with a face so beautiful, it was dangerous. The moment she entered the world, something strange happened. Anyone who looked at her face would suddenly die. Doctors, nurses, and visitors in the hospital all fell lifeless around her. Only her parents, who loved her deeply, were safe from harm. As Arya grew up, her parents knew they had to keep her hidden to protect her and the world. Her mother decided to teach her at home, keeping her away from other people. Arya was very smart, learning quickly and solving hard problems. But even though she was brilliant, she felt lonely. She had no friends to play with and always wished for connection. When Arya turned 18, her parents realized they couldn't keep her hidden forever. They sent her to a top university, hoping she could live a better life while still being safe. To avoid danger, Arya covered her face with many layers of cloth, leaving only her sharp, bright eyes visible. On campus, Arya's intelligence impressed everyone. She easily passed tests and earned her professor's praise. But Arya didn't care about being popular. She just wanted to live without hurting anyone. Her covered face became a mystery. People gossiped, guessing why she hid it. Some thought she had scars. Others believed it was something strange. One girl named Lena loved making fun of others and picked Arya as her target. One day, Lena stood in Arya's way. "Why do you always hide your face? Are you scared we'll see something ugly?" she teased loudly. Arya stayed calm. "You don't want to see my face," she said softly. "Prove it," Lena challenged. "Show us if you're not ugly." "I'm protecting you," Arya replied firmly. "Oh, please," Lena sneered. "You think you're some kind of hero? Just admit you're scared." Even though Lena bullied her, Arya ignored the teasing and kept studying hard. Whispers spread around the campus. Is she cursed? What's she hiding? One of the students, Kai, was different from the rest. He was kind and admired by everyone. Though popular, he stayed distant from relationships. Lena, still determined to reveal Arya's secret, had a sneaky plan. During lunch, Lena sat beside Kai. "I need your help," she said sweetly. Kai frowned. "What now, Lena? Another silly game?" "It's about Arya," she whispered. "Pretend to be her friend, then sneak a picture of her face when she's not looking." Kai shook his head. "Why do you care? She's not hurting anyone." "She thinks she's better than us by hiding," Lena said bitterly. "I bet she's ugly, and I want to show everyone." Kai didn't like Lena's plan, but he agreed anyway, thinking it wouldn't be hard to get close to Arya. He started sitting near Arya during lectures and walking beside her after class. At first she ignored him, used to people teasing her, but Kai didn't mock her. He only smiled, making her curious but cautious. One day in the library, Kai said, "Hey, you're Arya, right?" "Yes," she answered carefully. "Why?" "I just thought we could be friends," Kai said casually. "Why would you want that?" Arya asked suspiciously. "Why not?" Kai smiled. "You're smart and different. That's cool." Over time, Kai kept trying to befriend Arya by sitting next to her, bringing little treats and chatting after class. Slowly, Arya began trusting him and sharing her love for books. One evening, Kai asked, "Want to study together in your dorm? I need your help with these assignments." Arya agreed, hopeful she had finally found a real friend. As she made tea, Kai secretly added a sleeping powder Lena had given him. "Here," he said, handing her the cup. "You deserve a break." Arya smiled behind her cloth and took a sip, but soon she grew sleepy. "I'm getting tired," she yawned. "You've been working hard," Kai said gently. "Get some rest." As Arya lay down and drifted to sleep, Kai's heart pounded. He untied the fabric covering her face, guilt tugging at him. When he finally removed it, he froze. Arya's face was stunning, more beautiful than he had imagined, but something powerful radiated from her, overwhelming him. Darkness clouded his vision, and he collapsed, lifeless. Arya woke up groggy and saw her face covering on the floor. Panic filled her as she spotted Kai lying still on the ground. "Kai?" she whispered, shaking his shoulder. But he didn't move. Arya sat still, fear gripping her tightly as she realized what had happened to Kai. Tears rolled down her cheeks while her hands shook, tying her face covering back in place. "Why did you do it, Kai? Why didn't you listen?" she whispered sadly. Outside, the noise had drawn a crowd. Curious students gathered near her dorm, talking in worried tones. When someone screamed after spotting Kai's lifeless body, the security guards and police quickly arrived. The officers entered and saw Arya sitting silently beside Kai, her face hidden again. One officer stepped forward. "What happened here?" he asked firmly. Arya's voice trembled as she replied, "He saw my face. That's all it takes. I warned everyone, but no one believed me." The officers looked at each other, uneasy. There had been rumors about Arya before, dismissed as silly gossip. After questioning her parents and gathering information, they realized this was not something Arya could control. "This isn't murder," one officer whispered to another. "It's something different." That night, the police released Arya into her parents' care. As soon as she got home, she broke down in her mother's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "I don't want to hurt anyone else," she cried. "Maybe I should stay away from everyone forever." Her mother gently stroked her hair. "You can't hide forever, Arya," she said softly. "I know you're scared, but you've worked so hard to be here. Don't let fear control your life." "But people stare at me and judge me," Arya said shakily. "And Lena won't stop bullying me. What if this happens again?" Her mother squeezed her hands gently. "You're stronger than you think, Arya. You can't change what people say, but you can choose how to react. Don't let their words steal your happiness." Arya wiped her tears, nodding slowly. "I'll try. I want to stop being afraid." "That's my brave girl," her mother encouraged, smiling warmly. "You have so much to offer the world." The next day, Arya went back to school. Even though her heart was nervous, her determination was strong. Lena wasted no time throwing insults. "Look, the killer's back," she sneered loudly. "Did your rich parents pay off the police to let you go? Must be nice being a monster with money." Arya's chest tightened, but this time she stood her ground. "At least I'm not like you," she said firmly. "Chasing boys for attention." "What does that make you?" Lena's smile faded. "It's none of your business who I date," she snapped. "At least people notice me." Arya stood tall. "Maybe if you spent more time studying instead of chasing boys, you wouldn't still be stuck here." Lena opened her mouth to respond but couldn't find the words. Angry and embarrassed, she stormed off as her friends whispered behind her. For Arya, it felt like a small but powerful victory. A week later, talk spread about a new student, James, a confident young man with a kind smile. His charm quickly made him popular, and students whispered about how handsome and friendly he was. The moment Lena saw him, her determination flared up again. "I have to have him," she announced dramatically. Her friends exchanged glances, some rolling their eyes. The next day, Lena confidently approached James in the hallway. "Hey, James," she said with a practiced smile. "Want me to show you around?" James didn't even slow down. He walked past her without a glance. Lena's confidence faltered, and her friends giggled quietly. "He's just playing hard to get," she muttered. "I'll win him over. Just watch." Her friends exchanged doubtful looks but said nothing. Meanwhile, James found himself drawn to Aria. Her kindness, intelligence, and quiet strength fascinated him. They bonded over science and shared thoughtful conversations during breaks, quickly becoming friends. Lena burned with jealousy as she watched them grow closer. This isn't over, she thought darkly, already plotting her next move. James's friends noticed he was spending less time with them and more with Aria. They couldn't understand why he was interested in someone like her, who wasn't part of the popular crowd. "You should stay away from her," one friend warned. "She's not your type." But James didn't care. People will always have opinions, he thought, but they can't define my choices. He liked Aria for who she was, and that was what mattered to him. When Lena discovered James and Aria were growing close, her jealousy flared. "How dare she steal the one person I want?" Lena fumed. Consumed by anger, she stormed up to Aria. "You think you're so smart, don't you?" Lena spat. "Using your tricks to steal my man away." Aria stared at her calmly, then burst into laughter. "Your man?" she asked mockingly. "You mean the guy who doesn't even know you exist?" "Keep dreaming, Lena." Crossing her arms, Aria added firmly, "James and I are just friends, and that's all we'll ever be." Lena's face turned a deep shade of red. "Don't act like you're better than me," she hissed. "You don't belong here. You're just a freak who hides behind that cloth." Aria stood tall, her voice steady. "I'm not here to impress anyone, least of all you," she said. "I'm here to focus on my education. Maybe if you spent less time chasing boys and more time studying, you'd have something to be proud of." Lena's jaw dropped in shock. She wasn't used to people talking back to her. "You'll regret this," she snarled. "I'll make sure you do." Aria shrugged. "Go ahead, Lena. I'm not afraid of you. Bullies thrive on fear, but you won't find any here." Lena glared, realizing her threats weren't working. Frustrated, she stormed off as Aria watched, standing tall and unshaken. That evening, when Aria returned home, she felt both proud and unsettled. Standing up to Lena had been empowering, but the weight of everything still lingered in her heart. Seeking comfort, she went to the kitchen where her mother was preparing dinner. "How was school today, dear?" her mother asked with a warm smile. Aria sat down, her thoughts heavy. "Mom, graduation is coming soon," she began hesitantly, "and I've been thinking a lot about it. I want to look nice, elegant, maybe wear makeup for a change, and for once I don't want to hide my face anymore. I'm tired of it. I want to feel normal, just like everyone else." Her mother's smile softened into concern. "We've talked about this before, haven't we?" she reminded gently. "Yes, I know," Aria admitted, "but I'm tired of running from it. I want to live a normal life, not always feel like I have to hide." Her mother reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "Remember, Aria," she said, "sometimes the hardest battles are the ones we fight within ourselves. True strength comes from embracing who you are, even when the world doesn't understand." Aria nodded slowly, though the knot in her stomach tightened. "I remember what the prophet told us years ago," she said softly. Her mother looked at her lovingly. "Yes, Aria. He said the curse will only break when someone truly loves you for who you are, not because of anything else." Aria's heart felt heavy, but determination flickered in her eyes. "Maybe that's the lesson I need to learn first, to love myself." Her mother smiled proudly. "Exactly. When you learn to love yourself, the opinions of others lose their power. Never let anyone dim your light because they fear your brightness." Aria's heart sank. But that means I have to wait for someone to fall in love with me, and I can't make that happen, she said, her voice trembling. What if no one ever loves me? What if I'm always alone? Tears threatened to spill, but she tried to hold them back. Her mother hugged her tightly. Love is like a tree, Arya. It grows when the time is right and not a moment sooner. You can't force it, but that doesn't mean it won't happen. She pulled back to look her daughter in the eyes. Focus on what you can control. Your studies, your dreams. Remember, the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Though her mother's words offered comfort, Arya still wrestled with frustration. She had buried herself in schoolwork, trying to block out thoughts of relationships. But deep down, she yearned for a life where she didn't have to hide. I don't want to stay like this forever, she admitted. There's someone at school, James. He's kind, and we're just friends. But I know we can't be more than that. Not with this curse hanging over me. Her mother smiled gently. Sometimes the best relationships start with friendship, but don't feel pressured to be anything more right now. You're allowed to take life one step at a time. Arya nodded, but her brows furrowed. And Lena, she keeps coming after me, making trouble. She acts like James belongs to her even though he doesn't care about her. Her mother chuckled softly. Lena's trying to find her worth in the wrong places. You don't need her approval or anyone else's. People only have as much power over you as you let them. I know, Arya admitted, but sometimes I wish things were easier. I wish I didn't have to hide my face all the time. You're more than what anyone sees, her mother reminded her. When the right person comes along, they'll love you for everything you are, seen or unseen. At school, tension with Lena peaked. James's rejection and Arya's quiet rise in respect had driven Lena to frustration. She spotted Arya at the cafeteria, reading peacefully. With her entourage in tow, Lena stormed over and raised her voice. Madame Face Cover, she taunted loudly. Graduation is in 2 weeks. Will you finally show us your face? Or are you scared we'll all faint from the horror? The crowd stilled, eyes darting between the two girls. Arya calmly closed her book and stood, her steady gaze meeting Lena's glare. I'm glad graduation is here, Arya said, her voice unwavering. It means we're finally rid of you. I was starting to think you planned to live here forever. The students erupted in laughter as Lena's face flushed red with anger. And let me guess, Arya continued, her tone sharp, you must have charmed a few lecturers along the way to finally graduate. Lena's friends exchanged uneasy glances as students laughed louder. You're not fooling anyone, Lena, Arya added. Everyone here knows your family isn't rich, so drop the act. Honesty might not always get you applause, but it earns respect. Lena clenched her fists but had no words left to fire back. For once, Arya had the upper hand. Arya took a step closer, her voice calm but sharp. Oh, and let's not forget, she continued, that big girl lifestyle you flaunt? Everyone knows you've been sleeping with sugar daddies to fund it. You're nothing but a fake, a poor girl pretending to be rich and bullying others to hide your insecurities. That's just sad. The crowd of students erupted with uncontrollable laughter. Some whispered about Lena's sugar daddy scandals, while others discreetly recorded the scene on their phones. Lena's face twisted in rage, her eyes filling with humiliated tears. You don't know what you're talking about, she screamed. You think you're better because of that face cover? You're nothing, Arya, nothing. Arya shrugged, keeping her composure. If I'm nothing, what does that make you? A bitter, jealous girl who can't stand anyone else's success. Remember, Lena, real confidence doesn't come from tearing others down, but from lifting yourself up. She smirked slightly. Good luck with your sugar daddies. Maybe one of them can help you buy some self-awareness. Lena couldn't take it anymore. She spun on her heel and stormed off, her face burning with embarrassment. Her so-called friends hesitated, some sneaking away to avoid being linked to her. The surrounding students clapped and cheered for Arya. "Finally, someone stood up to her," one of them said, grinning. "That was epic, Arya," another added. But Arya simply picked up her book, nodded politely, and walked away with quiet grace. Sometimes victory isn't about winning a battle, but walking away with your dignity intact, she thought to herself. Despite her public humiliation, Lena was desperate to make James notice her. She tried everything, wearing tight dresses, exaggerating her confidence, and pretending to need help with schoolwork. But James remained uninterested. One day, Lena cornered him near the cafeteria. "James?" she cooed with a forced smile, flipping her hair dramatically. "Why waste your time on that face-covering girl? You and I could be the hottest couple at school. Don't you see it?" James sighed, his patience thin. "Lena, can you stop embarrassing yourself?" he said firmly. "I don't like you, and I never will. You're always chasing boys, causing drama, and thinking you're better than everyone. It's pathetic." The words hit Lena hard. She froze, unable to process the insult as students nearby whispered among themselves. For once, she had no clever comeback. Red-faced, she stormed off in silence. That evening, James sought out Arya to share his true feelings. He found her sitting under a tree, her favorite spot on campus. "Arya," he called softly as he sat beside her. She turned, her brows furrowed in confusion. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," James reassured her. "I just need to tell you something I've been thinking about for a while." Arya raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" James took a steady breath. "I love you," he admitted, his voice filled with emotion. "I don't care about the face cover or what people say. You're kind, smart, and unlike anyone I've ever met. I don't need to see your face to know how special you are." Arya's heart raced, torn between disbelief and hope. "James, you say that now. But what if I'm ugly? What if you can't handle what's underneath?" James shook his head, unwavering. "I don't care," he said gently. "To me, you're Arya. Nothing else matters." That weekend, he invited her to spend time at his apartment. Though hesitant, Arya agreed. They talked for hours, sharing stories and laughter that drew them closer. As evening settled in, James leaned in and kissed her gently. For the first time, Arya felt truly cherished. But as they moved, James accidentally brushed against her face cover, and it slipped off. True beauty shines from the heart, not the face, James would later reflect, understanding that love wasn't about appearances, but connection. Arya gasped and pulled away, her hands quickly covering her face. "Not again," she cried, her voice trembling as tears streamed down her cheeks. "I can't let this happen again. You're going to die, James." But James remained calm, his gaze steady and filled with kindness. "Arya, nothing's happening to me. I'm fine," he reassured gently. Her hands lowered slowly, though her tears kept falling. Arya stared at James in disbelief. "But everyone who sees my face can't survive it," James interrupted softly, a smile tugging at his lips. "I told you I love you. Maybe that's why the curse doesn't affect me." Arya hugged him tightly, her tears transforming into joyful ones. Love is the bridge between fear and freedom, she realized, holding on to hope for the first time in years. Later that night, Arya couldn't contain her emotions as she spoke to her mother. "Mom," she said, her voice shaking with disbelief, "James saw my face and nothing happened to him. He's alive. He loves me, and I think the curse is broken." Her mother's eyes filled with joyful tears. Pulling Arya into a heartfelt embrace, she whispered, "My darling, I've prayed for this day. You found someone who truly loves you, and now you're free from the curse. True love doesn't just break curses, it heals hearts." The next morning, Arya walked onto the school grounds with a newfound confidence. For the first time, she left her face uncovered. Heads turned, eyes widened, and whispers filled the air. "Is that Arya?" someone murmured. "She's beautiful," another said in awe. Lena, emerging from the cafeteria, froze mid-step as her eyes locked onto Arya. Her mouth dropped open in shock. "This is what you've been hiding?" Lena sputtered, disbelief dripping from every word. Arya met her gaze with calm composure. "Yes, this is me," she said, her voice steady. "Surprised? Maybe next time think twice before judging someone you barely know." Cheers and applause erupted from the students around them. For the first time, Arya felt truly free. Free from the curse, free from judgment, and free to live her life as her authentic self. "Sometimes the bravest thing you can be is yourself," she thought, smiling at the crowd around her. If you were in Arya's place, would you take the risk to show your true self to the world? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this story, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your friends and let them join the conversation. Subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories, and don't forget to hit the like button and turn on notifications for more amazing content.